He's extremely stubborn. So he knows deep down, unless he's just a complete idiot, that...
Yeah, listen, I've always been strong on that. I've always been strong on the fact that I don't believe in giving them a second chance.
You're basically saying, no 3 strikes and you're out.
No three
two
strikes
and you're out.
No.
One, you fail a test and gone ski.
Absolutely, because I just believe then that moving forward, people would think twice about doing it. If they think, well, you know what, I'll get a second chance anyway, I might get a slap on
the Conor Benn business that's been going on then. What's your take on that?
My take on that is very simple. If you think you have to take any kind of performance enhancing whatever to increase or be a better fighter or whatever it is he seems to think he may or may not have done, then I believe that he's been caught not once but twice, then take his licence away, because you have to send the right message.
Eddie Hearn drops the hammer on Conor Benn after his arrest. He laid it out straight. The fight is not sanctioned, lawyers are involved, and both Benn and Eubank Jr. know the full story. After 3 failed drug tests and now an arrest, Benn has no ground left to stand on.
The statement he's actually saying is that we're not sanctioning this fight. There's ongoing conversations with the lawyers and the British Boxing Board of Control. Obviously, we want everyone to be comfortable. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. are aware of all the information. In fact,
Eddie Hearn didn't hold back, calling Conor Benn a disgrace and tearing into him for dodging accountability. He questioned Benn's absence, mocked his inability to face the cameras, and highlighted how damaging this has become. Hearn's blunt words showed just how little patience remains for Benn's endless controversies.
Disgrace. The guy, firstly, the guy is not well. Secondly, the guy really should be here. But the fact that he's not involved, the fact that he couldn't take any money, the fact that he couldn't be involved in any decisions, stand in front of the cameras, is making him sick as a parrot.
And if that wasn't enough, the calls for an official inquiry soon followed. Johnny Nelson made it clear an inquiry has to follow Conor Benn's latest scandal. Even he sounded stunned as the news broke, stressing that questions must be answered immediately. Passing a UK test won't erase repeated failures elsewhere, and Nelson hinted the storm around Benn is only getting louder.
There is going to be, there needs to be an inquiry straight after this, why, what. But that's what I'm hearing. This news is as fresh to me as it is you. I'm quite sure when this goes out, it'll be all over the place anyway. But all I can say is he passed the UK one.
Chris Eubank Jr. cut straight to the point. If you fail a drugs test, you lose all rights to equal terms. No negotiation, no excuses. His message was a direct shot at Conor Benn, underlining that cheaters don't get the privileges of clean fighters.
Fight week, by all accounts you're on weight, by the pictures you're uploading. Does that give you a bit more of a bargaining chip when you're saying, no, look, that's why I'm commanding more of a purse?
When you fail a drugs test, you don't get 50-50 split.
No? No matter commercial power pulling, no?
You don't get 50-50 split if you fail a drugs test.
Duke McKenzie delivered a brutal verdict. Conor Benn is finished. Handing back his license looked like an admission, and the repeated excuses of contamination don't hold weight after multiple failures. For McKenzie, the only solution is simple: strip Benn of his license permanently.
He's done. Now, the fact that he's given back his licence to the British Boxing Board of Control, who in my opinion are the best governing body in the world.
Lee McAllister came to Conor Benn's defense, suggesting he doesn't believe Benn would intentionally cheat with steroids. But let's be real, 3 failed tests, and now an arrest. At some point, intention doesn't matter. The facts are there, and boxing fans aren't buying excuses anymore. Saying he's fit and strong, so he doesn't need it, isn't an argument, it's a deflection. Plenty of athletes were naturally gifted before being caught doping. The reality is simple: Benn's credibility is in tatters, and no amount of sympathy can change that. McAllister might feel sorry for Eddie Hearn, but the truth is, Hearn's frustration is well deserved. It's Eubank Jr. who has been wronged, forced to deal with canceled fights and endless controversy, while Benn's reputation keeps sinking. Sympathy won't save Benn's legacy, only clean action ever could, and that ship has sailed.
Personally, I do not think that Conor Benn would have intentionally took steroids. And that's just my opinion. He's a young, fit, strong guy. I do not see why he would need to do that. And even moving up weight, I don't see why he would need to do that if he walks about that way anyway. But for me, the key is, like I say, I feel sorry for Eddie Hearn.
Duke McKenzie tore into Conor Benn's fighting style, pointing out that Ben is not even a big puncher at welterweight. Claiming he'd knock out Chris Eubank Jr. was laughable because Ben never gave Eubank the respect he deserves. According to McKenzie, Ben's wild swings showed his lack of discipline. Head down, throwing shots without aim. That's not elite boxing, that's desperation. And the harsh truth is clear, Conor Benn is not Nigel Benn. He doesn't have his father's power, his precision, or his respect in the sport. Trying to live off his dad's legacy while tainting his own with drug scandals only makes things worse. If Ben thought reckless aggression and big talk would intimidate Eubank, he miscalculated badly. Eubank has stayed composed through the chaos, while Ben looks more exposed than ever, both inside and outside the ring.
Really his style, Conor Benn. Conor Benn's not a massive puncher, not even at welterweight, so really he's kind of mugged himself off a little bit by saying, I'm going to knock this guy out. He didn't give Eubank enough respect. Like I say, he was throwing shots at several points in that fight and he wasn't even looking where they were going. It was just like head down, just winging the shots over.
Carl Frampton cut straight through Conor Benn's excuses. He's heard it all before, fighters claiming contamination or downplaying what they took. But as Frampton explained, proper fighters know exactly what goes into their bodies. From the amateur days, athletes are drilled on strict rules and the importance of responsibility. That's why the whole "I didn't know" defense doesn't sit with him, and rightly so. At this level, ignorance is no excuse. Ben's repeated failures aren't accidents. They show a clear lack of discipline and accountability. Frampton's comments highlight the gulf between fighters who uphold the sport's standards and those who drag it through scandal. And in this case, it's Eubank Jr. standing on the side of professionalism, while Ben keeps drowning in his own controversies. Frampton spoke for the boxing purists. Enough excuses, enough lies. Ben's credibility is gone.
We've heard that scenario before where someone says they were spiked with performance-enhancing drugs, which it doesn't sit well with me and it doesn't really fly with me, but I know what I'm taking. I'm not taking stuff off other people, and it's been drilled into me since day one as an amateur. We had certain supplements like multivitamins I could take, and we couldn't take certain protein powders and stuff. It was really
Chris Eubank Jr. showed his composure once again, dismissing Conor Benn's drama with calm authority. He made it clear, the offer is on the table, take it or leave it. Eubank doesn't need this fight to define his career. His greatness is already secured by his consistency, discipline, and ability to handle pressure. If Ben rejects it, Eubank moves forward regardless, but the door won't ever be fully closed because the public's interest remains. What stands out is Eubank's mentality. While Ben is tangled in excuses, failed tests, and legal mess, Eubank is focused on legacy. His message wasn't desperate, it was dominant. He's the A-side, he holds the power, and he knows it. Ben's scandals may generate headlines, but it's Eubank's stability and professionalism that keep him in control of the narrative.
There's no message. The offer's been sent, and you either take it or leave it. And if you leave it, then I'm going to be great either way.
Is it done forever if this is a no this time?
I'm not going to say that. The fight's never done forever. As long as we're still breathing, and the fight is going to be of interest to us and to.
Stephen A. Smith summed it up perfectly. The essence of boxing is seeing two fighters compete on a level playing field, with power, skill, and heart on full display. When one man cheats, when performance enhancers enter the picture, fans are robbed of that spectacle. And that's exactly what happened with Conor Benn. His repeated failed tests, and now an arrest strip away the fairness this sport is built upon. Smith is right, without clean competition, we're being cheated, not just Eubank Jr., but every paying fan who wanted to witness greatness. Chris Eubank Jr. never needed shortcuts. He's built his career on discipline, durability, and fighting anyone placed in front of him. Ben, on the other hand, taints the sport with doubt every time his name comes up. The difference couldn't be clearer. Eubank offers boxing magnificence. Ben offers excuses, and as Smith highlighted, the integrity of the sport is at stake when cheaters are allowed to stand across the ring.
Powerful individual who can get exposed by a boxer because every shot he throws, he's trying to make it a power shot.
Tony Bellew didn't mince words. The rematch between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. simply cannot happen, and he's absolutely right. How can a fighter clouded by drug scandals and an arrest even be considered for such a high-profile bout? Bellew focused on the mental and experiential side of the sport, pointing out that fitness and stamina alone aren't enough. It's about mentality, discipline, and respect for the fight. That's where Benn falls short. His reckless approach, combined with constant controversy, shows he lacks the maturity to stand across from someone like Eubank Jr. Bellew's example of a first 12-rounder was telling even the fittest fighter struggles if their head isn't right. Benn has proven time and again that his head isn't in the right place, while Eubank has thrived under pressure, showing poise and mental strength. Bellew's verdict reflects what fans already know. Benn has lost the right to step into the ring with Eubank Jr.
If you're in Paddy's shoes, though, you know you've had 2 warnings.
Yeah.
You need to be careful, don't you?
You do.
Treading a fine line.
You do, but it's not the head then that comes in. So he's on one final warning for the head, but getting into an exchange in the final punch of the round, he's trying to win the round.
Yeah, impress the judges at the end of the round.
Frank Warren put it bluntly, the Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. fight was never truly viable, and the circus that followed has only proved that point. He called it a non-runner, and that's exactly what it is. A fight clouded by legal battles, failed tests, and pure chaos. Warren's frustration mirrors the boxing public's sentiment. Why waste time on a bout that's doomed from the start? The British Boxing Board of Control has been dragged through the mud. Lawsuits have been hinted at, and yet Benn's camp continues to cry foul. Meanwhile, Eubank Jr. has carried himself with professionalism, training, fighting, and staying ready while Benn's reputation collapses. Warren's words strip away any illusions. There is no big money rematch, no fairy tale redemption, just a broken narrative around a fighter who couldn't play by the rules. For Frank Warren and for fans, the penny has already dropped. Conor Benn is finished, and boxing deserves better.
The penny dropped that the fight could never go forward, and some of the stuff that's come out since about people being, the board being sued and something, but it's just a non-runner. It's crazy.
At this point, the saga speaks for itself. Conor Benn's reputation has crumbled under the weight of failed drug tests, legal battles, and now an arrest. What was once billed as a blockbuster clash has turned into a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, Chris Eubank Jr. stands tall, unshaken, and sharper than ever. If Eubank continues winning, he cements himself as the disciplined professional who carried the sport's honor while others dragged it through scandal. But if by some miracle, Benn manages to return and shock the world, it would spark one of boxing's most controversial storylines. The real question is, who's mentally stronger? Who truly wants it more? To most fans, the answer is already clear. Eubank has proven himself inside and outside the ring. Are you backing Chris Eubank Jr. to finish the job, or do you believe Conor Benn can somehow pull off the upset? Drop your thoughts below.